and the state can tell me if they're ready, and the defense. Okay, on the NIGMAC 680-280, 680-279, 716-924, and 716-923, State versus Jesse Garcia Jr.
State's President ready to proceed, Your Honor.
Defense? Okay, and is the defendant present? Okay. Are they bringing them up? Okay, can the council make room? We're gonna have a hearing. Caitlin?
Clear the decks.
Yeah. I think, you wanna do it up here? We can do it up here. That's fine, we can do it up here. How do you wanna do
We have
it?
witnesses, Your
Okay,
Honor.
we're gonna have to do it from the tables, okay?
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead and follow the directions of the bailiff, okay?
Sorry, Your Honor.
That's fine. Now, I just make sure, we're here because the state filed an all. Okay. Okay, we're here because the state filed the state's motions to remand without bond, or in the alternative, increase the bond on all four cases. And, council, you have copies of those motions?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, and, just to make, state,
I was just saying briefly, Your Honor, procedurally, if I put something on the record for the court, it may help shed some light on precisely why we are here today, why we're having the hearing. Is that okay?
yes, and then we're only
Right.
going on this 4-night max after all.
Right, procedurally, Your Honor, the defendant was arrested on September 23rd of 2022 with the charges of possession for 200 grams and unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. Those bonds were set at $10,000 and $7,000. $10,000 on possession of 4 to 200 grams, and $7,000 on the unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. The defendant made those bonds and was released from custody on September 26th of 2022. Subsequently, the defendant was then arrested on June 16th of 2023 for the charges of evading with a vehicle and felon in possession of a firearm. Those bonds were set at $15,000 and $20,000 by magistrates that were not this court. Subsequently, the defendant made those bonds and was released on June 23rd of 2023. Subsequently to that, Your Honor, an affidavit of surety to surrender was filed with this court on August 1st of 2023. This honorable court signed and issued a warrant on that affidavit on August 4th of 2023. Subsequently then, the defendant was booked on arrested and booked for 8 new felony charges on August 24th of 2023. The state filed motions with regards to those bonds under NIGMAG numbers 680-279, 680-280, 716-924, and 716-923 on August 28th of 2023. In these motions, Your Honor, the state has cited Texas Constitution Article 1, Section 11B, seeking to remand the defendant without bond on these NIGMAG charges, Your Honor.
Okay. And so that's what we're here for today. So let's go ahead and, if everybody's ready, state, call your first witness.
State's ready, Your Honor. We call Adam Rule.
Right here, sir. Have a seat, please.
Yes, sir.
If you could please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
You may lower your right hand, speak into the microphone, please.
Hold the microphone over to the microphone, make sure you shoot directly into place. Thank
You
you.
may proceed, state.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, sir, for joining us this morning. Would you state your full name for the record, please, sir?
Adam Ross Rule.
And how are
Can you spell your
you?
last name, please?
That's R-U-L-E.
Thank you.
How are you employed, sir?
I work for the city of San Antonio. I'm a San Antonio police officer.
And what's your badge number?
1215.
And what is your current assignment with the San Antonio Police Department?
I work for the San Antonio SWAT team.
Were you working on August 24th of this year, 2023?
Yes, sir.
And in what capacity were you working on that day?
Well, my work hours are 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So I was on duty, just briefed for an operation.
And as part of that operation, were you being briefed and attempting to execute a valid warrant in the state of Texas for an individual by the name of Jesse Garcia?
Yes, sir.
And in your briefing to execute that warrant, did you have, were you given an opportunity to see a picture and identify that individual?
Yes, sir. We like to identify anyone who could have a warrant or someone we're going after to ensure we have the right person. I did see a picture of them.
All right. And after having seen that picture back on August 24th, 2023, do you see that person in the courtroom today?
Yes, sir.
Can you point to them, describe an article of clothing that they're wearing?
Yeah, he's sitting right there. He has a red shirt on.
The witness has identified the defendant, Jesse Garcia. As part of your operation, did you establish surveillance at a location where you knew the defendant would be?
I stood by, sir, as detectives established surveillance.
And were you in a car? How exactly were you set up?
I was sitting in the front right passenger seat of a marked patrol car.
It was not marked, it wasn't even marked.
And were you?
Sir, do not make
They had
any
no
comments.
markings.
Do not make any more comments, please. Okay, just don't
Wait.
make any more comments.
You were in a marked patrol vehicle. Were you by yourself, or did you have somebody with you?
No, my partner, Officer Rhett Shoquist, was operating our vehicle.
And were you in the passenger seat, or were you in the driver's seat?
I was in the passenger seat, the front right seat.
As part of your surveillance, do you remember where you were set up surveilling?
I was around the corner with my partner sitting in the vehicle.
And do you know what was the location?
The location was we know them as the Building Mitchell Apartments over there near General Handel. They're red brick buildings.
At some point in time, did you see this defendant come out of the apartments?
Did I?
Yes.
No, sir. A detective did, and he relayed that information to us, describing it.
And what then happened after the defendant left the apartments?
After that, I was advised that a minivan of four other SWAT officers were going to conduct a arrest on the suspect.
And were they able to effect that arrest at that time?
No, sir.
How then did you? What was your further involvement then once they were unable to effect that arrest?
At that point, I was advised that the suspect, the defendant, was sitting in a black Mitsubishi, had no tint. Someone was operating the vehicle. He was sitting in the front right passenger seat, and that the vehicle took off through the apartment complex.
And based on those actions that the defendant took, what did you and your partner do?
We believe that due to the officers trying to effect the arrest, the suspect was fleeing. So Officer Shoquist and I simply instructed him to go around the complex and see if the vehicle pops out.
And once you did that, what occurred?
We observed the black Mitsubishi occupied 2 times. I saw Mr. Garcia sitting in the front right passenger seat. The vehicle evaded, blew through a stop sign onto General Hundell and headed 90 eastbound towards the main lanes.
And at that point in time, did you turn on your sirens? Did you let the defendant know that you were San Antonio police and that you were trying to effect an arrest?
At that point in time, sir, I did not touch the sirens or the lights myself, but my partner did. He turned them on himself.
And what then occurred?
At that point, we put out our location that we were headed 90 eastbound towards the main lanes on General Hundell. And as I was on the radio putting that out, I saw the back window of the black Mitsubishi pop out. I heard rounds. I did not see. It's the middle of the day. We can't see that. But I heard rounds skipping off the ground, and they were striking the undercarriage of our patrol vehicle.
When you say pop out, did somebody push the window out, or was it due to gunfire that the window came out?
It was due to gunfire. I could also hear it. It was pretty loud, actually.
And for approximately how long, and you just, well, I think that At that point in time, once you realized that fire was being rained upon you, what did you do?
At that point in time, I advised the dispatcher that we had shots fired from the suspect vehicle. He was shooting at us, and we asked for authorization to continue our pursuit.
And did you do that?
Yes, sir.
And in continuation of your pursuit, what occurred?
In continuation of the pursuit, I went ahead and I asked that the officer stop talking on the radio and the detectives so that I could put out proper information as to what direction we were headed. At that point, we just continued to follow Officer Showquist, just continued to pursue the vehicle.
Was this defendant firing upon you the entire time that you were driving, or was it intermittent?
It was initial, somewhere between 6 to 8 rounds. We kept our distance because we felt that if we continued to get closer to the vehicle with our patrol vehicle, that it would put the general public in harm's way, and we didn't want him to just start engaging us recklessly.
But the conduct that this defendant was partaking in, it was dangerous to the community, yes?
Yes, sir.
And at some point in time, while your pursuit continued, was there more fire that was exchanged, or did the defendant continue to fire upon you?
The only other time that we were fired upon is towards the end of the pursuit with Officer Showquist and I, up until he got shot in the head.
At some point in time, were you struck?
Yes, sir.
And where were you hit, sir?
As I was sitting in the front right passenger seat, I shot approximately 3 to 5 times, and as I shot approximately 3 to 5 times, the suspect returned fire right in front of me on the windshield. The window blew out, glass blew towards my forearm, and the round sheared in half and got stuck in my forearm right here at the top.
Would you be so kind as to show the judge where you got struck, sir?
It was right in here, and I just pushed it out.
Okay, I see it.
And as a result of that, did you seek medical treatment afterwards?
Yes, sir.
And what did they do basically at the hospital?
When I was in the hospital, sir, they simply made a small incision and they pushed the round out. They showed me the metal piece of the round. It wasn't a whole round; it was just cut in half due to the ballistic impact on that vehicle, and they just used some glue and pinched it together.
At some point in time, did you terminate your pursuit of this defendant?
Yes, sir. Officer Showquist could no longer operate the vehicle when he was shot in the face.
And the termination was because Officer Showquist had been struck,
Yes, sir. I had to offer him medical aid immediately, or he would have died.
and it was by this defendant.
Yes, sir.
And was there anyone else firing guns out of that car on that day?
No, sir.
No more questions, Judge. We'll pass the witness.
Just a couple of questions. Officer Rule, did you make contact with an individual by the name of Alexandra Ann Ramirez?
No, sir. I didn't make contact with anybody. I was in a patrol car.
Have you had an opportunity, so you never met Alexandra Ann Ramirez?
I don't know who that is.
Would you have any issues with her in making a statement to Detective Espinosa that what she saw was a white minivan that was following the vehicle, the Mitsubishi? Do you have any issue with that? In her statement to Detective Espinosa, she indicated that it was a minivan that was following them.
I'm going to object to the hearsay. He already said he's never spoken to this person. He didn't take a statement from this individual that calls for
This is a
speculation.
This is a
One
bond
at a time,
hearing.
please, one at a time.
It's a bond hearing, Judge. Hearsay is not going to play.
The rules of evidence still apply, Your Honor.
Yeah, but if he knows, if you don't know, then just think you don't know. If he knows.
No, sir. I've never spoken with someone named Alexandra.
Counsel, could you pull that mic up close to you, please? Thank you. Make sure it's on. Thank you.
That's all I have, Judge.
No more questions for this witness, Your Honor.
You're excused, officer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Call your next witness, state.
The state calls Officer Josue Vallejo Martinez.
Neil, if you could have a spell his name when he comes up. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's see. Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and lower your right hand and speak into the microphone, please. Thank you.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
You may proceed, state.
Please state your name for the record.
Yes, sir. Josue Vallejo Martinez.
And could you spell your name for the record too, please? Your full name?
Josue, Josue, Vallejo, VALLTJO, and Martinez, MARTINEZ.
Thank you, sir. How are you employed?
I'm in the city of San Antonio as a law enforcement officer.
And what is your badge number?
1345.
And what is your current role with the San Antonio Police Department?
Right now, I patrol the Northwest Service area.
And were you working on August 24th of 2023?
Correct, sir. Yes.
And how are you involved in this case? Or how did your involvement begin in this case?
So I was down in the central area. I know it's ways off from my service area, but I was taking somebody to jail at the time. And I saw leaving magistrates there.
Judge, can we pause?
Yeah, can we give it a minute? Just turn the whole computer off.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Now, you mentioned that you were at the Central Magistrate Office. Around what time were you there on August 24th, 2023?
I remember taking him down around 3 p.m. I don't know exactly the time I was leaving, because it takes a while to book somebody in. I just know that I was trying to return to my service area when I hear the emergency tone come out of an officer down. And they mentioned it was on the central area. Since I was already there, then I started looking at my computer, where is this going on at?
And so when you were looking on your computer, where did you realize it was going on at?
So they mentioned it was around Oriental, and I know that was towards Nogalitos 35 area, and I knew that area, so I start driving that way, and I see all the two vehicles going with emergency lights as well. So I know they know exactly where they're going. So I start heading that way, and helicopter is already on scene. Everybody's like checking the area, the community, and one of the SWAT officers advises me. I think he's by the train tracks.
And when you say he, did they give you a name?
No, not at the time. I just recognized him from the uniform. He's one of the green SWAT uniform.
And again, what was the call that you were responding to at this time?
Officer there. So he advised me. I believe he's by the train tracks. So I start heading that way. And then as I'm approaching the train tracks area, I see a vehicle just driving really reckless on the train tracks.
What kind of vehicle?
It was a Ford F-150 at the time, golden color. And then somebody had mentioned on the radio the license plate of the vehicle that had taken off. So I waited until I get close to that vehicle and I verified the license plate. And at that point I put on the radio, hey, I'm chasing him.
And so how long would you say you were chasing that vehicle?
It was a while. I was maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and I was mostly by myself the entire time.
Did that chase ever end with the vehicle chase?
Yes, it ended up
Where did it end?
at the Westwater Apartments on the west side of town.
And why did it end there?
I don't know what happened, why he ended. He just bailed out in front of me, and then he starts shooting.
So at this point, you saw somebody get out of that gold F-150?
Correct, yeah, from the driver's side.
Were you able to get a good look at them at that time?
Yes, and I
And-
give a description on the video as well.
Do you see the person who got out of that F-150 here in the courtroom today?
Yes, sir.
Can you identify them by an article?
It's
there?
gonna be the defendant wearing a red shirt.
And the witness identified the defendant. Now, when the defendant bailed out of the F-150, where did he go?
He started heading to his right towards building 1 and 2 of the apartment complex. And then he still had the AR-15 in his hand too.
I was going to ask you about that. So you're saying he had an AR-15 in his hands?
Correct, he got it from the pickup.
And you saw him get it from the pickup
Yes.
yourself? Now, are you familiar with that apartment complex?
Yes, it used to be my old area that I patrolled when I was working the west side.
And so did you chase him into the apartment complex?
Did you change what?
Chase him into the apartment complex?
Yes, so I started chasing him. I noticed he jumps over maybe 6, 7 feet tall wall. And then instead of jumping over, waiting for an ambush, I decided to go around. And that's when I knew he hunkered himself down to one of the apartments.
So you said that you went around the apartment complex. Did you eventually encounter this defendant in the apartment complex?
No, that's when it became a standoff. And we just knew he was right there at that time. So it became a standoff. I transitioned my role from patrol to negotiator, and that lasted until midnight when he finally was arrested.
Were there shots fired at the apartment complex?
Just when he shot at me when he bailed out that first time.
So when he bailed out of the car, you're saying he shot at you?
Correct, yes.
And when he shot at you, were you hit?
I had a little light on my left shoulder, and then, yeah, that flew off. Later we found out it's because one of the rounds hit it.
Later you found out?
Yeah, that one of the rounds hit it.
Now I want to talk to you about where you were shot when the round hit your shoulder. Were there other people in the area when the shooting was going on?
I believe that's when Officer Chavez and his probationary were pulling up right behind me. He was the second unit approaching the scene. So I just know he was shooting at me because I was the first one right behind him, and as I'm coming out of the car, I'm assuming that's where he hit it.
Did you see other officers shot when he was shooting at you?
Officer Chavez, correct, yeah.
Do you know how many times Officer Chavez was shot?
How many times? No.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Just a couple of questions. Officer. And so the vehicle that you said that you saw Mr. Garcia get out of, it was a Ford F-150.
Yes,
It was
Gold
not,
Ford F-150.
it's not a black Mitsubishi or anything like that.
No, no.
That might be positive about that.
You saw it?
You're positive about that.
Correct.
Okay. Did you have any contact with anyone by the name of Alexander Ramirez?
No.
Okay, you never met with
I don't remember
talked
talking to
him.
that person.
No further questions.
No further questions from the statement. The witness be excused.
Okay, just I have one. Did you subsequently find out how it went from a Mitsubishi to a Ford F-150?
We'll object,
They-
Your Honor, unless he's got knowledge of it.
Yes, they told me he had carjacked the vehicle at gunpoint.
Okay. Well, you said hearsay was admissible, so, okay.
Not in the state, not in the court's gonna take the position of prosecutor.
I'm
We're gonna
not taking the
object to that.
position of prosecutor. I needed to know, so I'm the finder of fact in this case, so,
Well, got more than competent prosecutors to ask those questions, Judge.
okay. Anything further from me to cite?
Nothing further for the state on this witness.
Nothing further.
Okay, you may step down, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh, you
State
may-
rests with regards to evidence, Your Honor.
Okay, counsel, any witnesses?
We have no questions. We have no
Okay,
questions.
then, based on the evidence and pursuant to Article 1, Section 11B, I'm gonna find the defendant who was previously released on bail as to these 4 cases that were on pending trial, that I'm gonna make a finding by preponderance of the evidence that the defendant violated his conditions of release, in particular related to the safety of the community. So as to these 4 cases, I'm gonna revoke his bail, and he is denied bail and remanded without bond.
And Judge, we'd object, these are not capital offenses, the ones that he's on bond for. These are not capital offenses. In particular, I would paraphrase what the first assistant district attorney, Mr. Hendrickson, said in an interview that he had with the press, and I'm sure some of these individuals back here were there, that they asked, why was he not remanded without bond? He said, there's certain categories that fall within the parameters of remand without bond. Those are capital offenses. He said that. And so these are not capital offenses, state jail felonies. I think the highest category is a second-degree felony, is a possession case. You have the option, and I believe that bail is supposed to guarantee a person's appearance, not to be oppressive. For you to remand him on state jail felonies, third-degree felonies, is being oppressive.
I'm sorry, what was that last part?
It's being oppressive. So we object to the court's finding.
Okay, I'll just note for counsel that Article 1, Section 11B specifically states that, and I'll paraphrase, any person who is accused in this state of a felony who is released on bail pending trial, and he was, and whose bail is subsequently revoked, and I'm revoking it, for a violation of condition of release, may be denied bail pending trial if a judge determines by a preponderance of the evidence at a subsequent hearing, which we just had, that the person violated a condition of release related to the safety of the community. And so I am following exactly Article 1, Section 11B, which gives me the authority to deny bail to individuals that meet this criteria, and Mr. Jesse Garcia Jr. meets this criteria, and so he's remanded without bond as to these 4 cases, okay? Anything else from either side?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Counsel, anything else?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Okay, we're in recess now. That closes the record for this case. Thank you.
Hey, Judge, you want us to take a break?
As soon as he finishes speaking with counsel, yeah.
We wanted to go break, so everybody can clear out everybody.
Yeah. So we're in recess for a little bit, okay? Yeah, yeah. Oh, what? Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I think this is ours. This is ours, correct?
Mine's new and missing.
Okay, perfect.